Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation. Sorry. I had Riverside sent me a note, and I wondered what that note was about. So let me restart that.
Okay.
It gave me an alert. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Amy Vince. She is a certified massage therapist, nutritional therapist, colon hydrotherapist, Reiki Master, and tapping coach. As the founder of the Soar with Tapping app, Amy is on a mission to make the life changing benefits of tapping accessible to people everywhere. So that's beautiful. When I heard that, when I read this about in your bio, it really caught my attention. That having that mission to make something that's healing to everyone, something that's simple too. I love your app. I went to your website. I mean, everything spells like healing and then spirituality, healing spirituality. So this is my brief introduction to you, Amy. But the question that I love asking everyone is, you probably already know. Hopefully not. That'll be good, actually. That'll be a surprise. How would you introduce yourself? Who is Amy in this very moment?
Good question. I would say more than anything, I'm a seeker. I've always been a seeker.
Yeah.
I've always looked at different situations and wondered why, why people act a certain way, why I act a certain way.
Yeah.
And I've always tried to figure out how to make my life better. And in that process, I have come up with quite a few answers.
Yes.
And tapping is the biggest one that I have found so far.
Yes.
And so it has always been, I've always been kind of a healer in nature. Maybe on the challenging side of that, you could call it being a people pleaser, but
Right.
in general, I care about people and I care about how they feel. And so it's become my mission and my passion to bring this tool to people because I just find it to be the most powerful healing tool available today.
Wow. Yes, I want to hear. I have lots of questions here for you about tapping. So people who are not familiar, they can get closer to what it is.
Yes.
You said something about being a seeker and also like making your life better. What is the vision, your vision for that? What would that look like when your life is finally better?
Better to me means a lot of things. It means having the courage to let down the armor on my heart, around my heart. With that,
Yeah.
I will gain more ability to love really, really deeply, but I also know that I'm going to gain the ability to feel deeper and more challenging emotions.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean joy all the time, but it
Yes.
does mean having the courage to kind of let down my armor.
Wow.
It does mean like having the courage to surrender my will a lot and just allow my connection with the universe to guide me and to do the work that I need to do in this world without my own ego and my own fears getting in the way.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That is really important to me. Not necessarily joy all the time, but the full spectrum of what the human experience has to offer. And a lot of that comes with hardships, and healing and growth comes from those things. So I don't necessarily
True.
want to avoid hard times. I want to have the courage to see what the rainbow is and where the pot of gold is at the end of this whole situation.
Yes.
And embrace it for what it is and what it's meant to teach me.
Beautiful. Wow. Love that. What's not to love about that openness? Yeah. That will lead us to truth. And I think that's the reason we are here. I don't see it any other way though. I think we are seeking truth, and love is truth and truth is love. So they are one
Yes.
and the same, really. So if we
Love and
kind of
connection. Everybody wants that, right?
if we run from truth, then we are running from love. If we run from love, we are running from truth. So I guess, like you said beautifully, is not running from anything, like being able to be open and embracing life itself. Just paraphrasing you. I love that idea too, Amy. Easier said than done when it comes to conditionings, right? And that's why
Yes.
tapping comes in handy. I mean, that's a wonderful tool. Um, I guess I'll go right into it. What is tapping? And yeah, how does it work for those who never heard about tapping? What would how would you describe that?
Tapping is a really great, powerful tool that incorporates 3 different healing modalities into it, which was why I think it is as powerful and as fast and effective as it is.
Right.
So first, there is the energetic therapy. Just similar to acupuncture, it utilizes the 14 energy meridians that are found in Chinese medicine,
Yeah.
except without the needles. Instead of needles going into your pressure points, it's actually, you're using the percussion of tapping.
Yeah.
And so that facilitates healing on an energetic level.
Right.
Then there's the cognitive therapy aspect of it, where you are actively talking about what it is you want to release from your body.
Yeah.
So while you're tapping, if you're focusing on releasing sadness, you can say, I feel so sad. It feels like a dark hole in my body, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're acknowledging and honoring all of these feelings.
Yeah.
And then the third aspect is that it incorporates somatic therapy, because the simple act of tapping on your body cannot help but bring your energy back from worrying about the past or back from worrying about the future. And it really focuses it in the present moment,
Right.
and where there truly is no threat.
Yeah.
And it can help you feel really amazingly calm and peaceful about whatever it is you're trying to release.
Right.
So that's what's happening with these different modalities. But on a scientific level, we have the stress center of our brain, the amygdala.
Right.
And when we experience a moment of stress, that amygdala gets triggered for whatever reason. 99% of the time, we don't know why it's been triggered. We just know that all of a sudden we're feeling anxious.
Right.
But when that happens, we go into fight or flight mode, and our body floods with cortisol.
Yeah.
So what the tapping is doing is telling that amygdala to de-escalate.
Yes.
De-escalate, de-escalate. There is no threat here. De-escalate, de-escalate. And so it's also removing cortisol from our system 43% faster than if you had done nothing.
Right.
It's lowering your heart rate. It is lowering your blood pressure, and it is making you feel a sense of peace and calm, but it's associated with the thing that you are tapping on. So you start feeling better. You start feeling more peaceful about the sadness, if that's what you're tapping on. Or it could be about a trauma, or it could be about fear that I'm not going to fall asleep tonight.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's knee pain, whatever it is.
Yes.
And it works very quickly and very effectively at neutralizing those things.
Wow. It sounds wonderful to me. And I have heard about tapping before. I have done it, like I mentioned, off record myself. Every time there's tension in the body, I do the tapping. But I'm not doing systematically. So naturally, just very intuitive. Is that actually before that? Talk to me about your story, because I read your story. How did tapping come to you? How did you meet one another in a way? I would love to hear that love story.
So I mentioned I was a seeker, and at the age of 31, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah.
And I was really curious about why it happened to me.
Yeah.
And it was easy for me to look at somebody that was my own age and, basically the same biology as this other person, and really wonder, why is it that I, with no family history of breast cancer, had this happen when this person did not? And I really came at it from a point of curiosity. So I wanted to know what the answers were. Yeah. And I went down a lot of different roads trying to find that answer. Yeah. One of which was Tony Robbins. I love Tony Robbins, and I went through his whole program. And was crewing with him for a while, and I met somebody there as a crew member that introduced me to tapping. And as soon as we had a session, there was just a part of me that recognized the power within that tool. And I used it for a while. I found my own coach, became certified very shortly thereafter. But I have to say, in the beginning, I had kind of limited success with it. Like some sessions with my coach would be really great, and some kind of fell flat, and I couldn't really understand why. And then I reached kind of a crisis point in my life about 7 years ago, where kind of everything was falling apart. When you're sitting in the rubble of your life and everything just sucks. And I turned to tapping. I was tapping for about maybe a half an hour a day for like 2 weeks straight. But I changed the focus of my tapping during that time from tapping on the symptoms of what I was experiencing, the procrastination and the pain in my body and all of those things. I transferred my focus from that to what I perceived could be the root cause, which was, trauma from when I was a kid. And as soon as I did that, Valeria, my whole world changed. My ability to look at life just expanded tenfold when I was able to really release some of these fears that I had contracted as a result of the trauma. So when I got down to the root cause, it neutralized things in a way that I had never experienced before. So all of a sudden, I realized the true potential of this tool, how powerful it really is, by just understanding how to use it, how to direct your energy towards it.
Yes. Wow, I love that, though. That sounds very powerful to me. If we can tap into the root cause, where it's almost like where we created the belief system about, conclusions about something that happened, because we can't change what happened, but we can change the way we perceived, right? Almost everyone knows that. It's an open secret. So we can change the story behind, the experience.
Neutralize the emotions around it. Because without the emotions, it's just an event.
Right.
It doesn't have to shape our lives. So if we neutralize those emotions and maybe even get to a point of understanding the deeper meaning about why something like that happened in our lives, then it gives you the ability to move forward without looking through the lens of the fear that event created. If we no longer fear that and can let go of that, then we don't get triggered in our daily lives like we do. So, it was such a powerful experience for me. And then, of course, that's when I decided that I had to quit everything, change my life and build an app and
that's it.
and really just try to bring it to the masses, because people need to know about this. They have the ability to use this really simple tool in a way that could change their lives. My God, I need to make sure everybody has access to that.
I love that too. You see, that's a beautiful thing about compassion, right? Because what are you doing? You found that for yourself, and then you found the solution for something that was hurting you, and now you want to prevent that. You want other people to heal and then prevent as well. Unnecessary suffering, really. It's really beautiful, though. So a question that I have is about, how do you see experiences after that? I know tapping, it's something that can be done every day, right, Amy? It's not something that we do one time and then solve perhaps one issue that we used to have, a belief system, but then it feels to me like it's a practice for life in a way. But do you is that in a way included where we are tapping to not create stories, when we're to feel the feelings fully without creating a story? I'm wondering if this is part of the tapping system as a prevention type of thing.
So I think there's a couple different ways I want to address your question. The first is, I think that we are spiritual, physical, intellectual, and emotional beings. And for hundreds of years, we have been ignoring or even suppressing that emotional part of who we are. Because everybody, well, for the most part, we've been conditioned to judge and criticize any kind of emotions.
Yes.
So we don't have a lot of intelligence about how to experience them, how to move through them,
Right.
and how to release them from our bodies as a
Right.
result of going through it.
Right.
And so
Right.
tapping to me is really an exercise in becoming comfortable, even with uncomfortable emotions, and being able to move through them
Yeah.
instead of either like holding on too tightly to them or suppressing them and pretending like they aren't there.
Right.
Because when that happens, as we all know, those emotions will stay stuck in our body. And over time, they will build up and create a lot of times physical issues.
Right. Right.
So the whole idea of tapping is to teach us how to move through those things, but it is done in such a gentle way because the whole time we're telling our bodies that it's okay to feel safe and calm about this. It's okay to, actually feel the emotion, because in a very short period of time, I think studies have shown that it literally takes about 90 seconds to fully engage with an emotion for it to start releasing from our system and for it to go away.
Yeah.
But we don't have that. We haven't built that emotional muscle yet.
Right.
And tapping is a really great way to allow us to build that muscle and gain the courage and the bravery to move through these emotions in a really gentle and maybe even, I would say, even a protected way.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it. And I think the lifelong practice part that you mentioned, to me, yes, it is absolutely a lifelong practice. And I say that fully knowing that I have released huge fears about who I am, all of the stuff that I've lived with over the decades.
Yeah.
But I also know that we tend to heal in layers, right? And so I have succeeded in getting, at the beginning, I succeeded in getting rid of a layer that kept me this small.
Yeah.
And then once that was done, I was able to expand into a new space.
Yeah.
But when I got to that expanded space and I spent a little bit of time there, there was another part of me that wanted to expand even more, right? But then I was, had these all boundaries of that same fear.
Right.
And I needed to release it at a different level.
Right.
In order to expand out of those boundaries.
Right.
And I think that it just continues that way over the course of our lives.
Yeah.
That these things will continually show up. It's not that we haven't, done the work to release certain things in the past. We have.
Yeah.
We have done that. And things are a lot easier now.
Right.
But it's just like if I wanted to, for example, I had a fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was going to go up in front of a group of 10 people. And I was really scared about it.
Yeah.
I could tap my little heart out and then release that fear and be able to go up and do that event feeling confident about it.
Yeah.
And then my world would expand.
Right.
But that if I got invited to be on the Oprah Winfrey show or something along those lines, where the stakes are higher, where the risk is greater, my need to impress is that much higher, I'm going to have to expand into that space, and I'm going to have to release that fear again. I could speak to a group of 10 people 1,000,000 times now, but when the audience gets that much bigger, then the fear increases, and so I would have to release it again. So we heal in layers, and we need to give ourselves the opportunity to do that over time when it's necessary. So for me, yes, absolutely a lifelong practice. and I look forward to it. Now the healing is a process that I actually enjoy. It
Mm,
wasn't always that way, but
yeah.
it is now.
Yeah. I can hear in your voice. Yeah, I can definitely hear that. The
Yeah.
almost like the welcoming, right, of the work of healing. And I love the
Yes.
way you said that. So healing, it's not. There's no destination for healing. In a way, we are never completely healed. We expanding our capacity to heal
Yeah.
different areas, different, let's say, uh, different realms of being, different
Yeah.
layers of being. That's fascinating the way you said that, and you also said in a way you're saying that the life itself will put us in that situation in a way. Will bring, if it is to happen in this lifetime, then we'll be kind of asked to expand in our healing capacity. I
Yes.
mean, I
Yes.
never heard it that way. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Never heard
And
it that way.
the funny thing is, when I first started doing tapping and, recognized kind of the power of this, I was still in a mode of thinking, well, I'm going to get rid of all of my
Right.
shadow qualities.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel fear. I don't
Yes.
want to feel guilt or shame or any of
Yes.
those things,
Yeah.
thinking that, if I tapped enough, I could get rid of all of those things. And the
Right.
truth is, I haven't gotten rid of any of them. I have
Mm,
simply
mm,
accepted that they are part of who I am, and I don't
mm,
resist them anymore.
mm.
So that's one of the
Wow.
biggest differences is I feel more whole
Wow.
because I have finally started to allow in the parts of
Amazing.
myself that I completely resisted or rejected before. And it has made me so much more compassionate towards
Mm.
myself and towards other people, just recognizing that we all have
Yes.
these shadow qualities.
Yes.
They're not supposed to be bad.
Mm.
They're just part of who we are.
Mm.
And accepting that and
Yeah.
surrendering to that truth
Yes.
is the thing that is the most powerful.
Wow, that's another beautiful piece of timeless wisdom in my view.
Yeah.
Yes, Amy, we cannot push away anything. And that's funny to think that it just happened to us, right?
Mhm.
There's this, I mean, that's what I think the egotism really is. It's about thinking that there's a mean here where everything that life is happening around me, so it's happening
Yeah.
to me, and for me, and then why me, and all those things. I know that's natural at some point. I did the same thing, being emotionally, physically abused as a child. My entire adolescence, I remember asking that question: why did this happen to me? Why did you do this to me? I remember making my mother, like, just crazy by asking, here in the United States, and I would call her to ask her, why did you treat me this way? Why did you? And then she would just get really angry and never answer. She never answered obviously never answered that question.
Yeah.
So it's this thing about taking responsibility for life as life, like being life instead of I have a life. That's how I see these days. I mean, it has been 20 years, my practice of it's a
Yeah.
spiritual practice of
Yeah.
grounding myself in being one with life and not trying to resist. And of course, it's like you said beautifully, it's a practice, and it is the resistance part. And that's what we are doing here, trying to
Constantly.
kind of loosen up enough, surrender enough to the point that we can dance with life. Because you can't really dance if you're stiff, if you're really resisting the music, right? And
Yeah.
everybody else dancing around us. So we
Well,
might
we're
as well just
conditioned to
dance.
do that, right? Though we're
Yeah.
conditioned
Mm,
to
yeah.
resist those bad parts of ourselves. We're
Yeah.
conditioned to constantly strive to be better, to be more successful, whatever that
Right.
looks like.
Right.
There's hardly ever an acceptance of our
Yes. Yeah.
shadows, at least not on a real truthful level.
Yeah, that's a big one. So talk
Yeah.
to me about the app, and how does it work? I mean, I haven't been there yet, but do you encourage those who are using the app also to listen to this type of, let's say, invitation, being open, all these beautiful things that we are having a conversation about here?
I think mostly what I'm interested in helping people realize that there is nothing wrong even with challenging emotions. There is nothing wrong with any emotion of any kind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you gain a lot by really acknowledging and honoring those emotions and giving them their day in court. They need to be heard. They need to be listened to
Yeah.
and honored. And that is what allows us to release them from our body.
Yeah.
So that's what the app is designed to do.
Yeah.
And when I was designing the app, I was looking and kind of researching to see what was out there already. And
Yeah.
what I saw was lacking in what my, really powerful experience was, and that I really wanted to go to the core issue and
Yeah.
lead people to the core issue for them to, and not just focus on the symptoms.
Yes.
But sometimes working on the symptoms is necessary because we need a band-aid in a moment, right? If you're
Right.
experiencing extreme anxiety and you don't have an hour to dedicate
Yeah.
to getting to the root cause of anxiety,
Right.
you need a band-aid. So the
Right.
app offers that, but it also offers a lot of video instruction for how to deal with bigger issues like
Yes.
anxiety or depression, addiction,
Yeah.
procrastination, anything along those lines.
Yeah.
And what I really want people to do is have compassion for all of those feelings and an understanding that it doesn't help to kind of slap a fake smile, or at least a desperate smile,
Yeah.
on top of these things.
Yes.
And if we have the courage and the bravery to actually walk through some of that darkness in us and get to the other side, there is the capacity for real lasting joy
Yeah.
is so much more attainable than if we don't walk through those hard phases. So
Yeah.
people might be confused when they go to the app thinking that I'm just going to infuse them with positive, optimistic statements. And that's not necessarily the case. We're going to really honor those emotions, those hard emotions. If we talk about betrayal, I'm going to honor and talk about how hard your heart took that, how you were heartbroken during that phase, and how you don't ever want to go through something like that again.
Yeah.
So we honor and acknowledge those enough, release them from our body, and that's what the app is designed to do. So it has like an avatar that you create, and then
Yeah.
it shows you where all of the tapping points are. It gives you the video instruction. There are over 170 different tapping scripts for all kinds of things that you want to work on. There's goal support or sleep or
Right.
physical issues. But then there's also what I think is the really important, like the foundational fears that I want people to work on.
Yeah.
And there's a certain order that people should work through things to have it be the most effective. And so that's what I tried to guide people to in the app.
Yeah. So it's simple. Yeah.
Yes.
To almost guide yourself into well-being. It's truly, I love that though. Yeah. Thank you for listening, to the intuitive idea and kind of in bringing that to life. We talked off record briefly about intuition. That a lot of us, we have these beautiful ideas and that could really make a huge difference, but and then we're afraid, right, to follow them. We don't have really them. We just kind of dismiss them as something silly.
Yes.
And but I love that you did that. And that's one of my superpowers, I would say, too, because I do follow my intuition and I just do it anyway, because I know it's coming from the heart. And I know that's life talking to me, and life doing what it does for itself, which is really supporting itself. And that's how I know. Well, my confirmation comes also with participation. When I see like other people resonating with that idea, that's when I know, okay, this is coming from life itself, because everything is connected, interconnected.
Yes.
And that's how I know, as that's not an egotistical thing, when other people are resonating with, even if they are coming at first from the ego themselves, it's okay too, because I know where I'm landing with that. I know where I'm kind of guiding them with the whole platform with what's the platform, the intention's all about. So it doesn't really matter. Gosh, I had to say that. I don't know why, just now.
I'm curious, do you just have a knowing, or do you hear a voice, or do you like have a vision? How do you picture it visually?
Yes, it usually comes in form of a thought, and then I have when I dream at night, they are very lucid dreams. Like
Ah,
you have
I wish.
these dreams that you can never forget it. Like
Yeah.
throughout the day, it's almost like you're not here anymore in this reality. You're just in that reality. And it's kind of it's carrying you throughout the day, and you can't.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. That's almost more real than this being talking to you here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when I know. Yeah, it comes a lot
Nice.
when I'm sleeping, resting, meditating too. I do yoga
Mm-hmm.
nidra. I don't know if you heard about yoga nidra as a practice.
Yes.
I do
Yes, I
that.
have.
So that's quite powerful. But a lot of times it's yeah, it's a thought, and then it's very
Mm-hmm.
fast too, and it just disappears, but then becomes bigger when I go to sleep, when I rest the mind, and then kind of it comes up. It's
Yeah.
quite powerful. I did have the voice thing before too, though. Listening to the voice, and I even thought I had, some sort of problem like schizophrenia. I know that that's. I
Mm-hmm.
was reading about it because, like, wait a minute, maybe I'm mentally ill.
Yeah.
But there was another spiritual experience I had that was very profound, where I was in Brazil, not here. That I was almost one time it happened when I was completely, my mind kind of completely let go of that reality, that it's almost disconnected from what I was living, and now I
Yeah.
was just being guided by the voice in my head, and I was listening. I could hear, oh, do this, go there, and sure enough I was kind of letting the body do whatever the voice, because I had nothing else to trust but that voice.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it guided me to a lot of safe places and safe people. I mean, like really
Mm-hmm.
beautiful people. I've just ended up
Yeah.
at somebody else's door, knock, and the person opened. This woman, she was beautiful. Like I could feel her energy. She was just all about love, and she was like, "Oh, now I'll guide you back home to your home." And I mean, it was just an amazing experience. I think I never talked about
Mm.
that. I think I did in my book. I wrote something about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny that you asked that question, because I've been always interested in truth and love, and sometimes you gotta pay the price for it. Like, oh, are you ready for this? You're gonna
Yeah.
lose it completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, oh yes, and I guess this lifetime. Some people say that we have contracts with truth, so we do whatever it takes to
Mm-hmm.
get there. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess has been my destiny here. But yeah, I have to say, I want to go back to when you talk about compassion. That really feels true and beautiful to me, about having compassion for your own emotions. And you know what I see with that, Amy, is that when you're being compassionate, it's not that something separate. It's actually you being compassionate towards yourself, because those parts they're not separate from you. It's you. So isn't that interesting? If you think that way, it's the way I perceive everything. So it's not separate
Yeah.
from me. That's me too. So if I love myself, then I'll love that too. I'll
Yeah.
include that too, per se. Will be part of that loving
Yeah.
nest.
And sometimes that's a hard thing to do, have compassion for ourselves, because we
Yes.
often have that really harsh, critical voice, and we say things to ourselves we would never
Yeah.
even think about repeating
Mm, mm,
to anybody else. But if we can kind of separate ourselves and come from a perspective of our higher self, maybe,
yeah. Yeah.
and be able to look at the
Yeah.
the entirety of our experience
Yeah.
and see how great we are
Mm,
doing at life, because life
yes.
can be really, really hard sometimes.
Right. Right.
And it's
Right.
amazing to have gone through the things that we went through from childhood on,
Yeah.
and to still be thriving in life today.
Nice.
And I think that in and of itself takes a lot of compassion. The
Right.
fact that, you know, I
Yeah.
am not lying in bed every day in the fetal position
Yeah.
means that I have a lot of courage
Mm,
for life.
yes.
And that's the bottom line. And inherently, I know that I am a good person. And so just having compassion for all the moments where I
Mm,
do feel fearful,
yeah.
or maybe my ego gets the better of me and I respond irrationally to something.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
inherently I'm a good person,
Mm,
and I have so much compassion for that. as well as other people who are acting irrationally or maybe, not themselves in any way. I have zero judgment about that, truly now. I used to, but I don't anymore, because I know that what's happening underneath the surface is not necessarily what it appears to be. I know that people respond intensely to massive amounts of fear. And that's what I'm seeing. And I can have a ton of compassion for somebody that is really scared.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. That's truly beautiful. I love everything that you just said. I mean, it just resonates with me. Yeah. So if we are able to see that everything that's happening, it's not really, it's just not to be, let's say, it's indulged with judgment, but just with curiosity and openness, being met with curiosity and openness. That's when we know, that we are in a way kind of listening to life itself as this ground of this of wholeness, because everything's coming from one essence. So when we are there, then we know. But do you how some people struggle, and I used to struggle with this, like, but what do I do, when I see injustice, some people mistreating the animals and children, which really piss me off. So what so what do we do? Like, is that, how do you meet that, that experience of injustice?
When you experience kind of anger, like you're talking about, like if you get anger on the behalf of an animal because they're helpless, or a cause,
right,
or even yourself, it is a really great clue that something is unfair.
Yeah.
And we are meant to pay attention to those things. Yes. We obviously aren't meant to live in a state of rage. That is imbalance in the other direction.
Right.
But it's a really great clue, and it deserves our attention. How we choose to move forward with it is really kind of an individual choice.
Yeah.
Some people might choose activism. My form of activism is working with my clients and helping them to feel more whole, and doing it from a place of love.
Yes.
I've never been comfortable with, holding a sign or yelling a slogan or something along those lines. So this is how I cope with the unfairness, and try to help one person at a time, including myself.
Right.
Trying to help myself be a better person, be an example of what is possible.
Right.
And one person at a time, we can change the perspective, and we can allow more clarity in about what is real and what isn't real, and what needs and deserves compassion, and what needs to be changed. And so that's an individual choice, but the emotion itself is a great clue and needs to be paid attention to.
Yes. You see now we are seeing the purpose of emotions, right? And how powerful they can be as a guide. Yes. I love your suggestion here too about doing something that, if we can do something, of course, being that agent for change, like you are now, doing this work. Yes. Yeah. Because I remember talking, having a lot of conversations about surrender. Just surrender. It doesn't mean that we'll become they call like a doormat, people say, around here, like
Right.
it doesn't mean that. Like, I have a hard time saying no, and around boundaries, and that's just not easy for me to say no. But I still say no, but in a kind way. I choose the kindest way of saying no to somebody, especially my husband is the one. He's the biggest one that gets those. But so it's not really, it's meeting the experience as it is, not trying to ignore what's happening as real, as a fact. Right. But then also addressing at the level that we are able to. So I love that, coming from our own, let's say, integrity, right? Our authenticity. Because if we can't really help somebody, it would be kind of unhelpful to try to help if you're not in the position, if you can't. Because I remember trying to do that too, around my family members, trying to help them. And and I clearly heard that message that from them, even, I don't need your help, because I thought that they were suffering, they needed help.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
man, that's so hard at times, isn't it? When
yes,
you can see things because you have a different perspective than they do, and you can
yes,
see things a little more clearly. You
yes,
so want to get in there and kind of help
yes,
them do their work.
yeah. And
And I
then,
have to remind myself all the time, even with my daughter, I'm like, she has her own journey.
yes,
She has her own journey and she needs to experience hard things in order to
yes,
grow herself.
yes,
And I will be here for her as much as
yeah,
I can
yeah,
when she is ready to make those changes or
right,
face those fears or
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so hard sometimes
it is.
to be hands off and see
Ah,
the
yeah,
hardships that people are going through. I
wow.
totally get that.
So, especially for parents, I think, yeah, you just
Yeah.
mentioned being a mother. I'm not a mother, so that must be so challenging not to try to help and tell them what to do and how to guide them to, safe places and how that, yeah,
Yeah.
what a beautiful dance that is, huh, of wisdom
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
freedom, wisdom, freedom and love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she knows what I do. She knows. I mean, we have tapped before,
Mm,
definitely, and I highly
yeah.
recommend any of your listeners that are parents
Yes.
do
Uh,
tapping on your kids, especially right before bed. They are far
mm,
more suggestible than we are. Just use their words for,
yeah.
use their vernacular, whatever it is. If they're
Yes.
really young, you use just their limited vocabulary. If they're a little
Ah,
bit more advanced, you use theirs. But like, it has to be my daughter's choice, though.
yeah. Right.
I can't
Right.
force tapping on her.
Right. Right.
I have done that,
Yeah.
and I have recognized that
Yeah.
she's not ready.
Right.
When she's ready, she will come and ask me, and I will be there. Yeah.
Right. And that goes for everyone too, right, Amy? Like
Hmm.
acknowledging that we are not ready for certain levels of healing. That's
Yeah,
also
that's
very
right.
important.
Yeah.
So, is your app also for children? Can they use adult and both?
There is an age limit. I think it's 12 years old,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just uses more adult language. I don't have a section for kids yet, or for parents. That is something that is in the works.
Yeah.
Right now, the focus is on getting a new women fertility and kind of women's health and fertility
Yeah.
and menopause section
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
I'm actively working on that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I have been looking for a
Yeah.
child psychologist or a child therapist
Mm,
to kind of help me curate that part of things. I haven't
yes.
found the right person yet, but
Yeah.
that is definitely a planned section.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I love that you
Yeah.
have different sessions. So menopause, infertility, so to address specific um, uh,
Yes.
challenges, right? That's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I love
Yes.
that. So we're almost at the end. I want to mention your website, soarwithtapping.com. It will be clickable on the podcast notes. And is there any question? I had so many questions here, and I just kind of was flowing with the conversation because I love the flow of life itself too. So I
Yeah.
apologize if I didn't ask you specific questions. But is there
Okay.
anything that you left unsaid? Anything that needs to be here at this very end, Amy?
Hmm. I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of different things and we touched on most of the really important things,
Yeah.
at least about emotions and tapping. So I think
Mm,
anybody that's curious, I do want to say
mm,
they can go to the Soar with Tapping website.
yeah.
And if they go to /podcast dash special, your
Mm.
listeners can find a code that'll get them 50% off their first annual subscription.
Oh, wonderful. Please send me the link. I would love to include that. Yeah, please send it to me
Absolutely.
because I don't have that link. Thank you. Oh,
Okay.
that's awesome. Gosh. I mean, I have to create a whole session of freebies on my website. I got to do
Yeah.
that, because I have so many of them. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. Actually, this is something that I have to do. Thank you so much again, Amy, for your beautiful presence, for your for listening to life and responding to life the way you do with the app and tapping. And I have heard about tapping long time, interview so many people about it. I know the power of that,
Yeah.
how effective it is. So thank you so much for, kind of expanding the world of healing for some people that are not aware of it. Thank you for being that, for being that agent. Thank you.
I'm happy to just offer another tool people can put in
Yes.
their toolbox. It'll be great for some people, and some people it's not going to speak to, but I hope that whoever needs it can find it.
Yeah, that's how it usually works, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
we find a teacher when we're ready for it.
Yeah.
So before we say goodbye, because this platform is started the Freedom to Feel for a reason, and the technique is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Let me ask you this ending question about freedom. So, what is your idea of freedom? What is freedom to you?
Honestly, it's just freedom from fear.
Hmm.
I think there's really two main energies in the world, and I think you'll agree with me that there's love and fear. And if
Yes.
in the absence of fear,
Yes.
we
Yes.
can truly, truly love,
Mm,
and our
yes.
world will expand in ways we have no idea if we can just let go of fear.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for your beautiful, um, not even intuitive, just straight up, direct, open truth, by saying that. Yes,
Yeah.
love and fear. Right.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
no other place to go. Although they are kind of, they only live in the dualistic reality, right? When we think about the essence of life, then kind of it seems like everything is love. There's nothing but love.
Right.
It's
Right.
that fears in our minds, and that's sure enough and funny enough. That's where most of the let's say the healing tools and psychological tools they kind of go span around like the mental belief systems because it's in our minds. That's where fear lives.
Right.
Thank you so much again, Amy, and we'll talk soon. We'll be in touch again. Take good care. Bye for now, my dear.